I mean, this is a pretty run-of-the-mill charge that's made on the state level. And the fact that it's made into a felony is not that unusual either.
So you think this case is easier for the prosecution than the defense?
Well, much easier. I mean, they've got two cooperating witnesses. It's not just Michael Cohen, his former lawyer. It's also David Pecker, who was the owner of the National Enquirer, who together met with Donald Trump to come up with this catch and kill scheme, whereby they would try and look for stories that were derogatory of Donald Trump and make payoffs like they did with Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal to keep those stories from ever seeing the light of day before the presidential election in 2016.
I know this trial is supposed to last 6 weeks. That's the estimation. Nick, if jury selection becomes painful, maybe it won't, in your view, as they talk about everything from QAnon to Antifa. But if that became a more protracted process, does the trial creep into 2 months? What's your thought now on duration?
Well, it's very hard to tell. I really don't think jury selection is going to be that long. You talk about Antifa and QAnon. The fact of the matter is jurors are going to have to express certain knowledge about these areas. It all goes to whether they can be fair and impartial. Both the defense and the government have the opportunity to raise with the judge disqualifications of jurors for cause. But on top of that, they each have what are known as preemptory challenges, which means that they can essentially dismiss a certain number of jurors. Each side has those because they just don't feel comfortable with them for whatever reason, as long as it's not based on a racial or ethnic reason.
Nick, something else I want to bring up is the gag order that the judge has put into place for this trial. It has actually been expanded to include the judge himself and his family, but also other officials of the court and other potential likely witnesses like Stormy Daniels or Michael Cohen, who we've talked about. And on Truth Social on Wednesday, Trump said that those two are two sleazebags who have, with their lies and misrepresentations, cost our country dearly. Where is the line of what violates this gag order?
No doubt in my mind that violates the gag order. This is a case that absolutely needs a gag order. It's like an organized crime case to the extent that people's lives, witnesses in particular, family of the court, are really put in jeopardy. It's not so much by Donald Trump himself, but what he says to some of his supporters who are clearly a bit unhinged. We saw that happen in North Carolina, where an individual showed up with a loaded gun at an FBI office. Ultimately, he was killed in the process. We saw this happen in Utah. There is a real present danger here that what Trump says is going to have a real life impact on the safety of witnesses, jurors, and court personnel. So I think the judge is going to handle this somehow. We'll see. I think the real problem is that most all of these judges are afraid to put Trump in jail, which they would do with any other defendant who violated this kind of a gag order. And they're afraid to do that until such time as a jury of 12 people convict him of a crime. Now, he's got other possibilities here in terms of how he could punish him, either through fines or through other parts of the trial, which, he could wind up giving a charge on this issue that would not be too helpful to Donald Trump. What's so unusual here is, in all my years of experience, I've never seen a defendant go this far attacking people involved in the case, particularly the judge. I mean, that's the last person you'd ever want to attack, because at the end of the day, that judge is going to have total discretion as to whether the defendant goes to jail, gets probation, whatever that sentence is. You don't want, if it's my client, I would not want him doing anything that in any way undermined the judge's ability to look at him in a complete void of any kind of threats like Donald Trump is making.